What's up, you guys? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. Listen, we were getting chatty in the back. We forgot we had to come on live. So listen, this is your girl Erica. If you don't know who I am, I'm the author of Smartphone Millionaire book, How to Invest in People, Businesses, and Real Estate from the Palm of Your Hand. And it is my great pleasure to bring on a person who is a name twin. If you guys don't know, my older brother name is Eric, and the man we bring on tonight is Eric Coffie. Please introduce yourself to the audience, Eric.
Hey everyone, welcome, welcome. Thank you, Erica, for having me. Yes, my name is Eric Coffie, GovCon Eric. I know, same like Erica. I actually got 2 books on the subject: The $1 Billion Playbook and GovCon Launch. Podcaster, YouTuber, everything government contracting, specifically federal contracting, is my area of focus. I have more than 600 videos online, and we teach and talk about government contracting day in, day out. Coaches working on it, students, clients. I mean, you name it. This is my life.
I love it. I love it. Listen, you guys, in order for us to better help you and serve you, drop your city and state in the chat because look, he's in Florida. I'm in Texas. You never know. We might do an event in Florida or something like that. So drop it in the chat so we can kind of get data where you guys are, right? Someone said coffee is served. It is. We're going to serve it today.
Love it.
Guys, make sure you put your questions in the chat. I see a lot of people have already started putting their questions in there. It'll help us help you have a great conversation. So Eric, government contract, what got you started in government contracts?
Yeah, no, actually, so it's a great story. Now, interesting enough, I know that you are in real estate, especially out in Austin. I started in real estate. Originally, I was a real estate agent, did very well in the real estate market in South Florida, sunny South Florida. However, in sunny South Florida, right before the 2008 crash, I don't know if people remember this, or maybe this didn't happen to you, but we had a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse going on down in South Florida. So I actually, with all of our immigrant population, when you do business from South America, they do business a little bit different than regular people. So they had the appraisers in the books, they had the inspectors in the books. So they were buying homes for $100,000. They get it to reappraise for $200,000 and then resell for $200 and make $100,000 profit overnight.
That's crazy.
So when I saw that happening and I didn't want to partake in it, I was like, I can't be a part of this.
You guys aren't getting me on American Great.
Because look, I know when you're a realtor, you sign your oath, right? Just like a doctor, just like a lawyer, you sign your oath. And so I was like, I got another friend of mine who was a big time developer said, Eric, get your contractor's license and you come with me and do development deals. And so I'm like, all right, that's cool. Well, then the market crashed. So I had a contractor's license, I had my GC license, can't build anything. Real estate wasn't moving. And I owned 3 properties at the time. One of my builders told me about government contracts. And so he's the first one that really turned me on to government contracting. And that's when I started digging in and learning all about this marketplace. I found 2 guys that were 8A. I didn't know what 8A meant at the time. So I didn't know anything about 8A or certifications. And they didn't really know what it was. They just got it because someone told them to get it. And they're like, Eric, if you help us get these contracts, man, we'll split the money with you, blah, 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 blah. I was like, all right, cool. So we start doing that down at Homestead Air Force Base, and it started working for us. So that's where I got started. About 2 years in, obviously, you know how it is, Erica, relationships and everything. They get strained.
It's something about that 2-year mark, boy. They start getting on your nerves. You're like, listen.
I'll pay you know what else, Erica? Let me tell you what I found out, right? Is that when they have to start writing you big checks, as long as your check is little, like if your 25% is 5,000, 7,000, it's cool. When it becomes 10,000, 40,000, 60,000, then that's when we start having like right here.
And then the crazy part is the amount of time that you focus and energy in getting them the money.
Right.
That it's worth it. Like,
yeah, no, I know. No, let me tell you. So I'll tell you this real story real quick before we jump into my journey. One of the contracts that we worked on was to repair this fence, right? And I remember this like it was yesterday because I'm the one who negotiated the deal, right? So I negotiated the government and the contract. We had an estimate of $400,000 to do it, right? And then we had another estimate like $600,000 to do it. So I'm like, all right, we're going to turn into the government the $600,000 estimate, but we're going to use the $400,000 guy, right?
Hey,
I mean, come on, like, that's what you do, right? So like, all right. So now we turn in, we add up the 600,000 and it turns out like 700 and change. So then we go back and we get the $400,000 guy to do it. So now we got 300,000 profit, right? 300,000. And then you know what the guy tells me? Well, Eric, you only negotiate your 25%. I'm like, dude, I just made you an extra 200 grand. Like, so that was my
Wait,
first lesson.
25% on what? Did you get 25% of the
I got
300 grand?
25% on the 300,000. So I mean, again, I got about $80,000. So I mean, it's not bad, but not when he made the $300,000. I made 80,000. I'm like, and I put the whole deal. Like he didn't figure this thing out. I'm the one that got the cheaper guy in there to make it a profit. So I made another 200,000 on the deal. I mean, for the whole deal, but I got 50,000 bonus for that.
You're like,
so after I was like, you know what, this ain't gonna work for me, And I'm like, I can't be with the brains and then not making the money. And so it's like,
what if he gave you 150? What if he gave you half?
I'll be still his buddy. We still buddies today. Don't get me wrong. We still vacation buddies. We travel, but we just don't do business no more. So, yeah. But so that's how I got started. And then from that, really, for me personally, I went out and I tried like local stuff and I did local contracts, but the federal stuff, man, it just bigger opportunity, bigger money, a lot more room to basically make like real serious money, that you can you didn't need a second job or a second hustle, like just the real dollars. And so my first federal contract that I won for my own company was we put together a bid on a contract and it was 1.5 million. And so my piece was 1.5. The whole contract was 2.2. And literally it allowed me to hire a team. And so I went from a one-person company to 23 people on staff and overnight. And so I literally absorbed someone else's company and all their workers. And I put them basically on my payroll. I got workman's comp, I got payroll service, and then we start rolling from there. And so I instantly had a 23-person company like that.
That's bananas. So how many millions of dollars do you think you've gotten over the years in government contracts at this point?
So I average about $2 million a year for a decade.
Wow, that's great. All right, you guys, $2 million a year over a decade.
Yeah. And Ericka, I got the tax returns to show it.
Listen,
I know some of us don't file taxes, so we say things. I actually filed tax return themselves.
Listen, I want to tell y'all, don't be in these streets not filing these taxes now.
Hey, I filed taxes. So, but the thing about the government contracting world, Ericka, which is interesting, I know people love to hear how we got started, but I can tell you this. I started off, I had the 23 people, and then I was doing these contracts, and then I kind of got really like big for my britches, like your mom would tell you. And so I actually went and started doing other types of contracts outside of government. And that's where I learned, the differences. I had never before worked. And again, I'm a construction company. I did steel buildings, metal buildings. So if you see those like inside domes, you see like those sheds and things like that, we do them at the big levels.
Yeah.
So we were building, like, for example, police facilities, cadet training facilities, all those kind of things with those big cranes and stuff. So as I was doing that, I was working for a private company, and they didn't pay me, and I didn't know what that was like. So they just didn't pay me. They said, "Oh, this is wrong and this is wrong," and so I have people working, and now I'm like, "Hey, this guy, I'm billed 50,000, they don't pay. 100,000, they don't pay. 200,000, they don't pay." And so I'm out here sitting here trying to struggle through a project and finish with my own money that I had made from the government, saved up, and all the projects I worked on, and now I'm pouring it into these private jobs, and I'm not getting paid.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
That ain't gonna work. And so what you realize really quickly was I didn't have like Big Brother protecting me, because believe it or not, the government is like Big Brother, and they were protecting me and insulating me from that kind of stuff. But now that I got here in the real world, I was kind of getting my butt handed to me.
Yeah.
And so when I ran out of money and I couldn't pay my suppliers and my contractors, you had to get really creative really fast. And so I remember one day, and I tell this story all the time, that I said I almost took a gun to work because I couldn't pay my employees. And I have construction workers, and so my guys have tattoos on their face, on their neck. You know the kind. My guys are ex-cons, experts. So I'm like, they not going for that.
They're like, where the check at? We're about to turn you upside down.
They're going to turn this whole building upside down. They're going to turn it up. And so I remember, Ericka, that feeling of not being able to pay my guys. And even with my equipment, I was using my friends' rental equipment accounts because my equipment was getting taken off the jobs. And so my mom actually bailed me out. She lent me $5,000, which was half of what I needed to make payroll that week, because my payroll was about $10,000 a week. And she lent me the money and bailed me out. But one of my suppliers told me, He said, Eric, he said, when you were doing contracts, he said, construction, what did you like? I said, government contracting. And he goes, well, you should go back to that. And so I vowed, again, I'd get away from that private sector world because in construction, it's tough out here. If you don't finish a job, then you can't go back and get your money because now you default on the contract. So even if they don't pay you, you still have to finish in order to go back and file a claim to get paid, believe it or not. So you got to finish it no matter what. And one of my projects was 700,000. The other one's 400,000. So you imagine, right? So I had already put 500,000 out of my pocket, like into the job, plus 300,000 supplier monies. And so it just really, those two incidents almost bankrupt me. And I went right back to the federal arena after that. And I start climbing back up again. And so that's when I vowed, I said, you know what? If anytime anyone gives me a platform to say it, I'm going to tell people stick with the government contractor because they pay you. And the truth is, you can do all kind of businesses. You can be in all kind of markets. But when your bank account goes to zero, you are out.
Listen, the tokens, when you run out of tokens, you have to leave the store. And people don't want to hear that, though. And I always make the joke, if you can pre-sale, you can still be in the game. If you can you can move some coins around, you're still good. But you're right.
Yeah. So I learned that and I went back to government contracting. And again, I was 200,000 in the hole. Fortunately enough, one of my insurance clauses helped cover my attorney's fees. And so I beat one of the guys in the lawsuits and the other guy I had to settle for about $250,000. And so I knew I couldn't go after micro purchases and $10,000 contracts because I'm $250,000 in the hole. Right. And so I'm like, look, I can't go after $5,000 gigs. I got to go after some big stuff. It's just what has to happen. And so I picked up a $400,000 contract. And then I picked up a $5 million contract, and that got me back on my feet. Pulled in about 700,000 profit, and I was able to pay down my stuff. I was able to actually buy some real estate, so I bought 13 units, and then I picked up another 2 units. I picked up 15 units
to balance it out. Have that paycheck.
Because I said this time I'm building a moat. Okay, I said I'm building a moat around myself this time because no matter what happens to me, I'm going to be insulated, and that has given me so much security. And that's what actually allowed me to come on and start creating YouTube content and books because that moat insulated me from the outside world and all the things that can happen to folks. So if there's anything I want to tell people out there is to work on building that moat around you to protect you and your family and secure them. So.
Y'all, there's a thing called business interruption insurance. And I signed this contract for this building. And in the clause, it said, make sure you have to show us that you have business interruption insurance. And I said, isn't that smart? He said, yeah, because ever since 2020, everybody's like, oh, my business, something happened. But if you got business interruption insurance, they know they're going to get paid their rent for the building. And they know you're going to pay your other needs. So yeah, that's crazy. So that day when you had to give them half the paycheck, how was people in there looking at you?
Listen. Let me tell you, Ericka, first of all, even when I had the money, they would come in there and talk about, I didn't have, they said, look at their check, they say, wait, my taxes are wrong on the forms. I'm like, listen, I don't do your taxes. This came from a payroll company. Oh, well, why did you short me $32? Why did you short me $28? Why did you short? So they were already complaining on regular good days when the checks were the full amount. So I already knew on the bad day. Ooh. And so what I didn't say is literally, Ericka, and I don't know how many people can identify with this, but I actually stopped paying the payroll company because I couldn't afford the fees. And so I had my girls in the office calculate like the taxes and stuff like that. And so because you send the taxes separately, that's how my payroll got to 10,000 because I didn't pay the taxes to the IRS that I had to pay on the so the FUTA, the SUTA. I didn't send it because I didn't have the money. So I was able to get down to 10,000 and was able to pull it off. Look, let me tell you, it's some finagling out here. Okay. It's some finagling.
Because I just know how they be, because they had the job counting the hours. They had the job counting with the calculator on the phone, they count. And you're like, if you just focus on getting the work done.
Thank you.
We could all be having a better week.
Ericka, I have this big guy. I remember he would be big. I mean, big, like linebacker, NFL type of guy, didn't make it. And he would be getting McDonald's lattes every morning. I'm like, dude, you a construction worker. Why are you drinking lattes and stuff every morning on the job?
He living his best life.
on my
Best
paycheck.
Buy.
I come
That's
to the
right.
job on my dime. He's bringing latte. I said that you listen. You not these people personal service. You don't make the McDonald's run. I need you on a piece of equipment out here on a crane, on a backhoe, doing something, moving something. So it just became tough. But I learned a lot, and I'm able to share that now in my stories and my books. And it's actually proven to be really helpful and useful to me.
Well, you know what? That's the thing. When we struggle or we have a big fall and then we can come back, like it's really the mindset, right?
Yeah,
The
big
the
time.
part where you're sitting there, you're going, "Oh my God, I'm 200 whole." Somebody else would be like, "Oh my God," you're like, "You know what I'm gonna do? I'm going back to government contract. Let me get my piece of paper out." You know what
Yeah. No, that's true. Somebody told me that. Like it took another person who again, I owed this guy $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
I owed him 30,000. And he was
Ooh.
like, look, I'm not gonna bother you no more. I already know what happened. I know how these big guys do, and I know the games. And then I was in a group called Entrepreneurs Organization. I don't know if you've ever heard
Mm-hmm.
it before. EO. Gary Vee and all those guys speak at their events.
Jerry
The
B.
national group. And
Mhm.
I was in that group, and one of my friends, who was a multimillionaire, this lady, she said to me, she said, Eric, she says, 200,000, is that it? Like you said, she's like, that's it. She said, I thought you said you're going to be a millionaire. So what's 200,000? She said,
Listen.
look, hold on, wait, take this to Eric. Hold on, wait. Let me break this down for people because I think we don't get this type of training at home, this
Mhm.
foundational training.
Mhm.
I want to share this with your audience for what people listening to me. $200,000, if you break it down into a 30-year mortgage, is what, Ericka? How much is that a month? Do you know?
Oh, you got me. Let me get the
Hold on, get
calculator.
your calculator out.
Oh no, he got me.
Hold on, Ericka. 30-year mortgage, 200,000.
Okay, 200,000
Yeah.
divided by 30 years, divided by 12. It's $555 a month.
So who can't pay that?
I know.
So it's just how we think about it, how we
Mhm.
process it is the difference. Now my payments are a lot more than that. They were 5,000 a month. I am negotiating to settle it.
Mhm.
But the thing is, I could have ultimately, like we talked about, if I had the real estate, I could have refied or cashed out refi one of
Mhm.
my properties, pulled out the 200, paid off that debt, and then paid back $500 a month on the payments.
I love it.
And that's what the millionaire mindset teaches you. And that's what the lady's like, Eric, if you take and figure that out in terms of a 30 amortized over 30 years, it's not that much money.
Mhm.
And so when with those kind of people behind you, you're like, yeah, you're right. So now you get it, Eric. You just did the math yourself.
Listen. Think about it. Here's something this guy told me once. He said, if you made $1 million before, you can make $1 million again.
And they're right.
You've already done
Absolutely
it.
right. He's absolutely right.
So you can
And
do it again.
that's what I did.
Yeah.
And that's literally what I did within 2 years.
Oh yeah.
From not zero, negative.
But this is what I want you to think about. You already saw the Florida housing crash,
Yes.
came through that, and then so this was just a bump in the road.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Oh no, I love it.
Except there was guys at your job, big burly guys coming for their paycheck on Friday. Totally
yeah,
different.
yeah. So I actually firing that guy. I remember this, and I drove him home, and he lived in the middle of the woods. And they're like, "You gonna drive that guy home?" I'm like, "Yeah." I just felt like it was a respectful thing to do. So I actually drove him home because he didn't have a way to get home. He didn't he was going to have to get on a bus or something. So I got in my truck and drove him 4.5, 5 hours home to his house. Like, you got to go.
Why did he live so far away?
Because my most of my workers were traveling. So in the metal building industry, those guys are on the road. So I always have to put them up in hotels and things like that, or
Got
extended
you.
stay. So my guys are travel work. Like in my industry, it's a lot of workers that travel, like oil industry or things like that.
Yeah. Okay. Got you.
They're the guy. You see the skull and crossbones that go across
Yep.
like that. That's my guys with the tattoos. Those are my kind of workers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So you're driving down the woods. You're like, I'm real sorry about firing you now. Here's the extra $100.
Ericka. I don't know if I can say it. I don't know if I can say it.
Yeah,
I actually. So what I did to ease him, I took him to a strip club before I dropped him off home. I did. I never said that on TV.
Hey man, listen.
I was
let's stop and get some steak from that place.
Let's wash, water under the bridge, and here have a good time. I did.
You know what? That's an amazing ideal. I can't even.
I didn't want him to kill me.
He's like, where's the GPS leading me? To the woods.
Yeah, they lived in the
I
woods.
love it. I love it.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah, but
I love it.
that's what I did, and that's how I got in. And then literally from that is when I launched my YouTube channel, and I vowed to teach people federal government contracting. So I said, hey, if the first chance I get, I want to teach government contracting, and that's when I started the YouTube channel and started teaching everything that I know, my experiences, and so it's just taken off ever since. And then a year later, I started the podcast, and I start interviewing other successful government contractors out there in the world. So it was good stuff.
I love it, you guys. 2 mil a year for a decade. Okay. So there's some questions. There are people dropping city and states. You guys, thank you so much for your engagement in the chat. Again, drop your city and state in the chat and also drop your question. So here's some of the first ones. Okay. We're going to get some of them in here. Can I get a government contract for a notary business?
Yes, you can. Yeah. Now, Ericka, let's talk about something that I think that we forget to talk about all the time.
Sure. Do it.
And let me see. I like to draw. So I'm going to draw on my paper here. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe the lighting's bad.
It's mad with you. The camera's very angry with you.
Like, I know, right? My camera's like, okay, so here, I tell you what I'll do.
Do a Sharpie. You need a hardcore pen.
Oh, hold on, wait. See, that's why we work together. Good team. All right, hold on. I got a Sharpie. All right, let's see if that works, Ericka. Bam.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
So one of the things I always like to tell people is, because these are questions that people ask me often all the time, is that we have to remember when we talk about government, you got federal, state, and local. So we have to break up government contracting into those three areas: federal, state, and local. And so, for example, when people say, "Can you get a government contract for notary services?" When I say yes, so I teach federal, and the reason why I teach federal, Ericka, is because the rules for federal contracting are pretty much the same, no matter whatever city, state you're in.
Gotcha.
The rules for federal pretty much hold the same for 90+% of all the agencies. So it doesn't matter. You're in Texas, I'm in Florida. You work at a base there, I work at a base here. The same rules. But now, if you work for the city of Austin and I work for the city of Delray Beach, totally different rules.
Yeah, I get you. Get you.
So for me, what I always like to tell people is that it's really hard to teach local contracting. Before we leave, I'm gonna give some people some tips. If you stay around to the end, I'll give you some tips on how to maximize all three of them. But it's really difficult to teach local contract because maybe in Austin, if you do a project, they may give you some advance. But here in Delray Beach, they may not give you an advance on a local contract. That makes sense? So you can't really say like, oh, this worked for me over there, so it's gonna work for you over here. And local, it doesn't work that way because they have their own governance bodies and people that rules. And so that's the difference. So now notary services, that's something that the beautiful thing about federal is that they have a database that we can all use to learn where the government buys these things at. And so there's two places you can go, usaspending.gov and fpds.gov. And that's where there's a database of all of the government contracts. And you can literally type in like notary services or notary and FPDS and find out who buys it and how much of it do they buy every year. So you can do your own research. But yes, the answer to that question is yes. The state and local don't have databases like that. Whereas the federal government does. So if you go to, and if you type in whatever the appropriate NAICS code, NAICS code is for whatever business it is, janitorial, nursing, trucking, if you type in the appropriate codes, you can look in these databases and see exactly who buys it and how much of it do they buy each and every year. So for me, that's the first thing I always tell people when they ask me, does the government buy what I sell? I'm like, find your corresponding codes, type it up, and look in there and find out for yourself who's buying it. And that's where you begin your federal journey, and that's where you start.
Yes. And you guys, I am on usaspending.gov, just kind of showing you the example in the background of what it looks like. And you guys can break this down in your own, right? Because I apologize, excuse me. I know transportation was like just for Texas alone. So transportation, I guess nationwide is 193 billion, but for Texas is like 1.9 billion. So there's 90 billion total. Texas gets 1.9 billion by itself.
Right.
So
And look how fast you did that. I mean, it didn't
yeah.
take it's this stuff is set up for everyday people to use. This is
Yeah.
not complicated. It's very visual. Like you see, there's boxes
Mm-hmm.
breaking it down. I mean, excellent. You can export all the data, and
Mm-hmm.
those things. That information is really easy to comprehend and understand. If you keep clicking down to the boxes, it'll get you down to the actual buyers with the buyers' names, their email
Mm-hmm.
address, and everything. So it makes a lot of sense.
So again, you guys, I'm showing you this just because, again, boom, we keep going further. National highway performance, because Eric, I was trying to build the government wanted more truck parking, semi truck parking. And so I was
Ah,
trying to find out, okay, well, if I build this semi truck parking, well, yeah, you can get 2 to 3 million, but it was just, some rules there. But there were several components to all this. But again, you guys, keep clicking on this. Keep working on this on your own time, because no matter how well researched me and him are, it helps when you just know it for yourself,
right.
right?
Absolutely.
So again, this is by the states. I want to show y'all. Now, I'm always bigging up Texas, but let's just go here. This is Texas. Texas gets 8.4% of the budget. Look how big our box
Ooh,
is, y'all.
that's a big. Yeah, your box is
Texas,
huge. That's a big
right?
box.
This is
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania
Look
is
at that.
long this way, right? This is Florida. Florida has 5% of the budget.
Yeah.
Okay,
Look at
and
that.
this is Illinois. Okay, so you guys are thinking, okay, well, where's New Jersey? There's New Jersey, smaller. Tennessee, all these places are way smaller.
Right.
That's why our roads are so good. Look at New York. New York is only 3%. They need more money for their roads.
They
This
definitely
is
need some more
North
money.
Carolina. North Carolina and New York
Hey.
get the same amount of money. I'm from there originally. So
No, I actually did an intern in North Carolina, so I like North Carolina, Durham.
So again, you guys play around with this. This is just transportation. I just clicked on one to kind of get the ball rolling for you guys to see it. You guys drop a one in the comments if you like that so far, if you like the good information we're dropping here. So thank you, Tora, for the $20 super chat. She said, I think federal contracting is wonderful, but due to the restrictions on the vaccine, I'm unable to have contracts once I am fired. It's a great opportunity though. She also works in writing them. So
She
thank
works
you
in
for
what?
support. Government contracting, I think
Oh,
right now.
okay. Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
It's interesting about the vaccines. I haven't seen the mandates take effect yet. I
mhm.
have seen for COVID testing, but not in terms of the mandates for being vaccinated. So I know that they said it on TV, and I know they're claiming it, but we have, I don't know, Erica, we probably have, I don't know, 150 people a week working, and I
Mhm.
haven't seen it take place. But other people have seen it affect them, but I haven't seen it. And I don't know how that's going to fall out. So. But I get it. I understand it completely. If her position.
Okay. And also we have, can't digital be media? Can you be in the military and government contract? Is that a thing?
So actually, it is a thing. There's a lot of
Mhm.
military people that get into government contracting, and it just makes sense, right? Because you're in the military, and you have the specialized training, specialized knowledge of these elements. You also, let me tell you, digital beat media. The reason why military people are excellent government contractors is because
Mhm.
you also know the weaknesses of the areas that you worked at, the bases that you served, the facilities that you
Mhm.
worked at. You know their weaknesses, and so you can come back in and determine what solutions are needed, find a company to partner with, and bring those solutions back. And that happens so often. A
Oh
lot
my
of
God,
my
yes.
most successful podcast guests are former military because they know the base where they were stationed or location they were stationed at. They're like, man, my software sucked. My internet wasn't bad. This wasn't good. And so, and those are very rudimentary examples, but the problems that are being faced from the inside out. And so you can come back in and offer solutions back to the government. And they love veterans. They love veterans. There's so many programs for veterans. There's so much training for veterans. In fact, Ericka, I didn't even send you this, but I'll drop it in the chat. Some of the
Mhm.
training resources available for
Mhm.
veterans
If it
specifically.
doesn't let you let me know, and
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
share it.
All right. Yeah. But no, there's a
Mods
ton of
share
stuff
that
for
too.
government people. Yeah.
So we got here, finally caught alive. What's up? Eric is the truth. Victoria Nims.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
we've got okay, let me see. Always negotiate up front. They're talking about people don't like to share.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
it.
listen, but you won in the end. It's all good. It's all good. Y'all still hang out.
Oh, no, no, we
2 million
listen,
a
look,
year.
we still hang out, we travel, we actually we just I mean, the guys that I started with, I'm very thankful and very appreciative for them
Yeah, for
and
sure.
all that they've done because, and I say this to people, you got to get, one of my podcast guests, his name is called ITA. It says for in the arena. You got to get in the arena, Ericka. If you don't get out
Yes.
here and you get in the arena, you're not going to have anything, right, to show for it.
Mhm.
So, yes, maybe I'm crying a little bit because I got 80,000 instead of 150,000. Right? Like
Just these first world problems. We're like,
right? It's like,
oh my
maybe,
God.
but at the end of the day, all of us are business people and we realize it. And, we go back and like my father had his 80th birthday a few years ago. And all of those same guys, that's what I call my millionaire friends. All those same guys came on the cruise for my family's cruise with us.
I
So,
love it.
we still have that bond, that connection.
Relationships more important.
Relationships more important. And even like when, everybody starts drinking, you start talking about the days, you're like, he starts telling my son, well, I did offer your dad more money after the fact. I'm like, yeah, but at that point, you had like 700,000 saved up and I had like 300,000 saved up. So we had already like created that gap between us.
You were already in a moat.
Yeah, right. You were already in moat phase, and I'm still, chugging on my little boat trying to get to an island on my own. So
wait, you got a son? I thought you was out here, Mr. Single Bachelors.
No, I have a son. Well, I mean, I am Mr. Single Bachelor now, but I have a son. He's 24.
24, man. Listen, y'all, black don't crack. Look at him. He does not look like he has a 24-year-old son.
I have a 24-year-old son. I do.
Stop it.
I do. Yeah, I had him just my first semester in college. He was born. So yeah, and I raised him. He lived with me all the way from middle school to high school. So I raised him up.
That's so cute.
Yeah,
I love it. Side story. Sorry, I'm just.
No, it's okay. No, well, it's real, right? It's real life. You got to tell people the reality. $2 million. I wonder if he does the contracts under 250. Yeah. So actually, we did contracts under 250 all the time. Because what happens is, Tara, ultimately, at the end of the day, you don't get to pick and choose the contracts the government gives you. And if they're your client, you gotta service them no matter what. So we don't get the luxury. And I remember this when I first started working up in a new state. Tara, it's a very good question because one of my contracting officers, the first thing she said, she goes, hey, you guys do 19 million a year. She goes, would you do contracts for like, 250,000? And we said, absolutely, to prove that we can do it, to get our footage in the door. Yes, we'll do it. And oftentimes you'll find that those contracts that are under the 200,000 or actually under 150,000, they have the hardest time finding people to do them because the bigger companies don't want it. So actually that's a really good sweet spot for a lot of people to get started is those contracts that are under the 250 threshold, under like the 150, because no one really, the bigger guys that are like your competitors, so to speak, mate, they don't want them.
They're too busy.
They're too big. Yeah, they don't want them. They can't. You can't do a 30 million and a 250.
Yeah, not with the same energy. Not with the same energy at all. Yeah. Martina says she watched your whole playlist to register for SAM. I will tell you this, you guys. My team registered me for 8A, and it was like we were collecting all this paperwork and we got a little nervous. So I understand why some people pay. I'm not knocking it, but yeah, for SAMs and all that, you can do it yourself.
Yeah, you can. Great. Yeah, no, and again, we do have a lot of free content and videos on it. But you're right, Ericka. Like you said, I've learned over my last 4 years of being online. Some people say, look, I have more money than time and I want it done right. And so they pay for professional services. So we're going to start offering those SAM registration, 8A registration, certification services starting next month. So we will be
awesome. I love it.
On our website.
Congratulations, Maria. She's gotten 4 contracts, been awarded.
Yeah.
She said mine are smaller than his.
Well, Maria actually, Maria is one of my students that we train.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
So you guys, disclaimer, this is a really great show for me and also my personal trainer. My personal trainer is a Marine. He's a vet and he, has a very niche, physical training, vet, what do you call it, dietitian, all that stuff. So he applied for government contracts this year, just like really hard after watching Eric's videos. And he got 3 contracts. Like it's very small stuff where he gets to like renovate gyms. But this year he got a big contract where he's going to build a gym on one of these little military bases near us.
Isn't that amazing? Right?
It's amazing. He's so happy. And I'm going to film it. I'm going to document it, you guys. And we'll,
oh my gosh,
we'll tag along with my personal trainer.
Yeah, do that. And then maybe I'll make a guest appearance. I can come up behind the curtain.
Like, what's up?
So But an interesting fact is, Ericka, and I have to say this for people out here, because on my show, I've had government officials, I had the former head of the SBA on my podcast. What's interesting is that there's 75,000 small businesses eligible for federal government contracts. 2/3 of them will never make it.
Ooh, say that again. Repeat it.
75,000 small businesses that are eligible for all these socioeconomic categories: women-owned, right, veteran-owned, hub-owned, 8A, all this categories. 75,000 is the pool, right? 2/3 will never make it.
Wow, that's crazy.
And so the reason why I say that is because while your trainer is a great example of someone being able to take the content that we get and do it, not everyone has that. So people do need help along the way. They need training, they need coaching, they need to learn how to properly do this, what to say, who to talk to, how to do the research, and so they can present themselves in front of the government agencies at the right way, so that way they'll give you a shout, they'll give you a chance to get started.
Listen, I was feeling all about. I'm like, look, I'm tribal. I got a tribal card. I'm Native American and I'm Black. And I mean, my mama's a veteran. What else you need on this paper?
That is, did you really do that?
I did, because I'm federally enrolled. My cousin is a Seminole down there.
So you know it's funny. Kevin McCarthy up in Congress, his family claimed tribal as well to go to the 8A program. I made a video on it.
I'm like, here's my tribal card. I never get to use it for anything, and now I finally get to use it for something.
That's awesome. No, that would be sweet. If you look, that's sweet. That's what I actually, believe it or not, one of the things that's what we talk about. What I'm headed next is doing that. Is setting up a tribal relationship. So.
You listen. If you ever want to set up stuff with the Choctaw, Mississippi, and then also the Seminole in Florida, you'll be killing it money wise, killing it. No, Idaho Indians too. Oh my God.
The Seminoles are oof, big time.
Okay, so you guys have so much in here. I'm trying.
Yes, Natasha, I'm like this every day, all the day.
I love it. It's good energy, y'all.
Yes.
I don't know who that NAFAC, if it's Navy. Okay.
NAFAC.
You're moving to San Antonio. Congratulations. Okay. Let me see. Y'all got so much in here, y'all. I'm trying. Didn't know this was happening. Record it. You're watching. It's happening.
Oh, hey, Arlene speaks it. Hey, actually, she sent me an email today. She's in one of our programs.
Okay. Awesome. Gosh, you guys, so much in here. Sorry, there's like 400 comments, y'all. Hold on a second.
Get out of here.
Yeah, we're in here. They're in here. I'm skimming. I'm sorry, I'm not reading everybody's. I'm just skimming. I apologize. It says many strip clubs have great free taco bars. You guys are cracking me up.
That's funny. Yeah, I never told that story, Ericka, but you brought it out of me.
It's hilarious, you guys. He said, I completed one of your courses. Super knowledgeable, very helpful.
Thank you. Yeah, he probably went through my free courses, Ericka, freegovconcourse.com. It's probably what Bossy went through. Awesome. Love it.
Federal contractors, where the money's at. We got Mississippi, Alabama, Atlanta, Miami, lots of Miami, Florida in here. What's up? Where you guys been all week?
Let me tell you something, Ericka. So it's interesting. If you look at Alabama, what do you think? Does everyone know, Ericka? You probably already know this. Facebook's going to Alabama. SpaceX is in Alabama. All these companies are moving to Alabama. Amazon, they're all moving to Alabama. Why? The government is there.
Government.
Where do you think they're moving? Look, yesterday I was on a Senate hearing call, and people were saying they're being bullied by Google, small businesses, because they want that government money. So everyone wants it.
Listen, Alabama, he just gave y'all a hit, y'all. Listen, when I was down there in Birmingham, the Stateville Hills, all those areas, went to Huntsville, like there's money in those. Yeah, there's money out there.
Huntsville building their new jets in Huntsville. It's a $200 billion program going out of there. There's the new space forces out of there. It's booming like crazy in south part of the United States. I mean, you literally you can freaking flip a coin and fall anywhere, and you'll be in great territory. Someone just, Ericka, you took a question off the previous person. I didn't get a chance to answer it. Is it easy or something? I think it said.
What is his name?
Was it easy? No, it was, I don't know the person. It was a woman.
Are no bid easier? Okay, there it is.
Are no bids easier to acquire as newbie contractors? So, Raina, excellent question. Actually, so let's talk about no bids, right? And so if you focus on, and we'll go back, and I like drawing, Ericka, so I'm gonna draw some more stuff.
Yay, let's do it.
I like drawing, right? So Oh, this marker ran out. Hold on. I'm going to draw for you.
It's okay. Thank you for sharing your time with us today.
No, this is great. I like to be able to be myself. And so sometimes I feel like I can't be myself on my own show. So, all right. So we have credit cards, micro, SAP. That's the levels. And then above that is basically prime contracts. So yes, when you talk about no bids, down at the credit card level and the micro, ooh, good job. Down at the credit card level, you know this program, girl.
I'm like,
Yeah. You know, Rainer, what you want to do is you want to play in this level here, SAPs, micro, and credit card levels. That's in the federal arena, right? So that's where the newbies want to play in that marketplace. Why? Because in the federal regulations, it says that they don't need to publicly post these opportunities. So guess what? What is that? No bid, right? If it's not, again, that's the federal regulations. So these opportunities here do not have to be publicly posted. Now, how do you find them, right? That's probably the next question. How do you find them? The government is constantly doing market research. If you go to sam.gov, not forbidding to do your research, right? Go to sam.gov, look up RFIs, sources sought notices. That's where the government is doing market research on what companies can provide the goods and services in one of these categories. Or they're determining whether to set it aside for a woman, for a veteran, for a hub zone, right? So now, but let me tell you the problem. Most of us don't do this because it doesn't say it's a bid. So we fail to do it. And so what happens is the government then puts it out to the big boys because they said no small business responded. When we did our market research, no one showed up. So now it goes out to open market and we complain that they don't set aside projects for the little guys because we are not responding. It's our fault, Ericka. We have to take blame for that.
Okay, got it.
Rainer, this is where you want to start. SAP, micro, and credit card purchases. How do you do that? On the sam.gov, when you go, look up sources sought, look up RFIs, pull down, use your NAICS codes. That will allow you to, so if you're saying transportation, right? So for example, Ericka, let's say they go in, they say, hey, we are doing, we're looking for transportation companies that can provide truckloads throughout the state of Texas for agency. If you have, please let us know if you have trucks, the types of trucks you have, the availability of the truck you have, if you intend on bidding as a prime contractor. Then they're going to write at the bottom, this is not a bid. There are no funds obligated to that. So most people don't do anything. They don't send it in. Or what they'll do, bless you, they'll send in just their generic capability statement. Say, oh, here's my capability statement. They don't respond, Ericka. So now what happens is when you respond, and it may not happen the first time, but if you do this 2, 3, 4 times, they're going to call you back on one of those and say, hey, Rainer, yes, actually, thank you. I saw your response. What we need is 10 trucks, blah, 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 here, this and that. Send me a proposal. It never went out publicly. They issue 500 of these every week.
500 a week, y'all.
500 a week.
Get in there.
So if you say there's nothing come out this week, next week you got 500 more coming out. So there's no reason to be anxious or to feel like you missed anything. There's 500 a week of these coming out, market research. And a lot of times when I'm sitting on calls with the government, tomorrow I'm speaking on an SBA matchmaker, Elizabeth Warren's a keynote. I'm second up in line. And the part of the problem is we are not doing our part in responding and letting them know that we're out here, we exist. People like Rainer, who's got this great service that she can offer, a great product that she wants to sell. If you don't tell them that when they're doing a market research phase, by the time they put it out for bid or solicitation, it's too late. I'm sorry. There's nothing to do. So the good thing about it, Ericka, is that if you get in on a market research phase before it's put out for bid, then they can actually sole source it, set it aside, put it into they may can even do one of these 3 things, right? Or all 3. Because guess what? After this, then it has to go out to public bid, and that takes time. It's a process, and they're like, oh, we don't want to do that. So they try to, as best as possible, If you look at SAPs, they're supposed to give this to all small businesses.
Interesting.
That is mandated by federal law.
All right, you guys, listen.
That's itself. That's a set aside a sole source in its own right.
If it's 500 a week, that's 26,000 a year opportunities that you can get that are not bidding.
But you have to know how to look for them.
This person said movie War Dogs is based on two guys who got great at filling out government contracts, but then they cheated, of course.
Yeah. So actually, so it's funny that you said that, John. This year, the company that the movie War Dogs based off of, they are going to be coming off of the bans list for doing government contracts, so they can come back. This year, 2022, they can start bidding contracts again. So
they're gonna do it.
That goes to tell me, Ericka, right? It ain't that bad.
It ain't that bad. Listen, what's up, Fort Bragg? Ericka Williams from North Carolina, Fayetteville, Fort Bragg. If you're new to government contracting, who can you use as a reference?
In terms of what? What are you thinking?
Sharon, expand it out for us. What do you mean? You need a reference for what? To show you do good work, that you have a business? What?
So let me just I'll come up with my own ideas of what I think she's talking about. So maybe she's mentioning like past performance. Yep. So yeah, thank you, Tam, for that. Yes, I have my own YouTube channel as well. Make sure to subscribe. Look me up. Eric Coffie, GovCon Eric. There you go. Thank you, Tam, for dropping that. So what she's talking about in terms of references. So interesting enough, there's when you look at, and this is actually a big time myth, Ericka, about people doing government contracts, right? They think, Eric, I've never done government contracts before, so how are they going to give me a chance? Right. You do not have to have done, that is not a requirement to have done government contracts. It doesn't say that on nothing on writing does it say that. That's your misconception of this industry.
Right.
But when you bid, you can use private work, you can use city work, you can use even your own professional experience to show that you're capable, you're competent of delivering the goods and services. So there's nothing about having past experience with the government that's mandated by like law that you have to have in order to do this.
I love it. I love it. This is good stuff. Yeah. He said 8A is great because it requires you as a federal employee to award some contracts to 8A.
Tara, yeah. So 8A, but don't forget. So Tara, that's a good. Ericka, do you have the slides I sent you?
I can grab them. Go ahead. Okay. Keep talking while I grab them.
All right, grab them. I want to show you guys something because this really speaks to that point. I want to get this whole thing out the way of these set-asides and certifications because a lot of people are pushing the certification, like I said, pimping certifications, and they want to sell you on that. They don't teach you how to get contracts, but they can teach you how to get certifications. There's a slide that we're going to pull up in a moment here that we're going to talk about that I actually, again, I do a lot of these for the government themselves. So I do a lot of these for different agencies. And so one of the things, I was on a call just last week with someone who is from the Department of State, Anna Ehrman. That's right. She's the Ostabu. So if you, Ericka, can you go back out real quick to me? Okay. Just so you guys can see. So you see my shirt, what it says, one Ostabu away. So I mean, this was intentional. This is by design, right? So I believe that we're all one Ostabu away from landing our first multi-million-dollar contract. So let's go back and pull up on the screen and let's see Ostabu.
I'm working it.
All right. You're doing a great job. You guys are doing fantastic. So okay, Anna Ehrman, if you look at her title, it says Anna Ehrman Ostabu, right? So Office of Small Disadvantaged Business. That's where you start talking to these federal agencies about doing business with them. So Anna Ehrman's the Ostabu. That's why I wear these Ostabu shirts, because I always want to remind my people, you're only one person away from putting you onto your first contract. That's it. Once you make a relationship with them, they like you, they know you, they trust you. They're going to introduce you to the buyers, the decision makers, and the players that you need in order to get that sole source, that SAP, that credit card, that micro purchase that you're looking for. They're going to give you your first break. Go to the next slide. So Anna and I were on this Jennifer Shaw's presentation last Friday. Okay. And on here, this is actually, as you see, October the 8th is the date. So the government actually achieved, they have their goal of 23% spending with small businesses. They actually achieved that goal. They actually hit 26%. So a lot of times people go, oh, well, they don't hit their goals. They did. The only place that they fall short is HubZone. But they exceeded their goals. Now the new administration is proposing 25% goal, which is great. Not really necessary because they're already doing 26. But let's go to the next slide. I want to show you something on this whole 8A thing. Now, on the slide, what Anna, and again, this is not my slides, these are her slides. That's why I put her up first. She presented this. Out of all of the contracts that the government obligations, 86% are not set asides.
Mm.
Do you see that, Ericka?
Yes.
I want your audience to see that and realize that, because when people are out here telling you go get certification, go get certification, go get certifications, right? I'm preaching go learn how to do government contracting first, because they are not at 86% are not set asides. Now, Ericka, if 86% are not set asides, but the government did 26% set aside contracts, how is that possible? Think about it, right? That's some weird math. Doesn't make sense. If we add up, and I know maybe there's some people not good at math, but 86 plus 26 is bigger than 100.
Yeah. So people got some set aside, no set aside.
So what happens is the government are advertising these projects, they're giving to companies, and then they're getting credit for you having a set aside without ever advertising it as a set aside project.
I'm gonna make it big just so y'all can see one more time without her face. Look at it.
So when people tell you to only look at set aside opportunities, that is a big mistake on the parts of a lot of small businesses. They should be focusing on the whole pie and not just the set aside pie, because now you're excluding yourself from 86% of all opportunities.
Boom, y'all. Boom. Listen, good stuff. Kevin Davis said, this is exactly why I'm pushing IT so hard. I'm already registered in SAM and those contracts.
So Kelvin, good stuff, man. Listen, on the IT tip, one of the things I always recommend to people is, again, narrow down, right? Niche down. And so on the IT, there's a whole lot of stuff in IT. There's LIMS, LMS, there's cyber. So again, and then there's help desk support. So you got to get really focused in on where in IT you want to be at. And then when you start doing your market research, Kelvin, go backwards, right? So on the IT side, because every single government office buys IT, I want you to go backwards, right? And instead of starting from the people who do the most spending, start at the bottom, the people who do the least amount of IT spending, because they're the ones to be the more small business friendly. And so I want to encourage you to work with people who are small business friendly. That's who you want to look for. Those are the people who are going to give you a first shot out the gate. Not necessarily the big guys who got billions of dollars in contracts, because everyone's chasing those dollars. So for IT, Kelvin, when you do your market research, start from the bottom and go up from the people that have the smaller budget, because they're the ones that are most likely to give you a chance, to give you that first shot. They're going to be very appreciative of what the value you can add to them, because like I said, no one's chasing those smaller dollars.
I like it. I like it.
You can take the slides off. We're good.
Anthony Russell said, have you and your colleagues encounter any fulfillment issues due to supply chain disruptions occurring right now?
Oh yeah. Yes. Big time, Anthony. We have, everyone I know is faced with fulfillment issues right now. One of my good friends, his brother actually does bomb assembly part components for bombs. He faced cost increase. And we face like material shortages. We face material increase. In fact, when we bid contracts now, and I don't actually, I say bid, but really we all negotiate. 90% of my work is all negotiated. I don't actually bid anything, Ericka. Just to put that out there. We don't bid contracts. We negotiate all of our stuff. We don't chase bid work. But
it's like we passed that now.
No. We're past that. And I teach my students to get past that too. I try to move you from bidding to negotiating, because that's where you get a chance to really get the value for your business and really build a profitable company. I want you to build a long-term business, not just win one contract or overnight success. Like, hey, I won 1 or 2 contracts.
Hey man, I made $5 million. And then
I might make $5 million. That first of all, it's not that. You're gonna make 5,000. Right? You might make 5,000 or 10,000.
But they're gonna put it on a paper like that, though.
Yes, yeah. Because they will. They put it on a paper like that, and that's fine. I mean, again, I get it. It's fine. It's sexy and it sounds great, but again, they're still gonna be on a roller coaster chasing their tails. So we go after negotiated work. But to answer Anthony's question, when you're negotiating, the beautiful thing about that is that you get to sit down, and that's why I like the federal government, Ericka. They let you negotiate, right?
Yeah.
The state and local, they want the lowest bid, period.
They don't care. They like lowest bid.
Lowest bid. You're like, hey, but I got a good solution. Lowest bid. Hey, but I got the best technology. Lowest bid. That's it.
Can you make it $2?
Can you make it $2? Right. Can you make him $2? This guy said he can make him $2. But his thing, it doesn't do what but he's saying for $2. So that's why I don't get into that. I don't like to undercut my services and my value, what we're offering. So going to Anthony's question, when we are faced with these fulfillment issues, then it's very easy for us. Again, I've got emails right now where we say, hey, listen, unfortunately, the price has been delayed. So we can't give you a cost estimate right now on this particular project. It's going to take another 2 weeks. And they go, okay. You see the difference? They're like, okay, because why? We basically put ourselves in a position with a long-term vehicle that gives us that the government funded, so they're IDIQs, and so now they come to us for all of these projects, and they don't have to put it out for bid. They don't advertise it, and they come to us and then negotiate directly, and we give them fair and reasonable pricing, and they're happy. So that allows us to take care of those fulfillment issues, Anthony, and not be subject to penalties and things like that.
So something I was thinking is, well, because of the whole shipping, silliness.
Yeah.
Will guys who are like contractors have an easier time? Will guys who do like labor work have an easier time getting jobs completed on time? Do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think that this affects all of us. So I don't think anyone has it better than the next person.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, and so, but that also, Anthony, because I had one of my coaching clients bring that up, and he said to me, he said, hey, do you think with all this delays and that it's going to impact my ability to do government contracts? And I said, no, because everybody's delayed. The whole country is delayed. So you're not going to be the first guy or girl to show up to say, I'm delayed. And the government's going to be like, oh my gosh, really? You're not. You get me, Ericka? Like, oh my God.
Okay, what you want us to do, right?
This is a global problem. This is happening all over. I think that sometimes we get confused thinking that the government never did this before. They've been doing this before we were born, Ericka. They have been down this path. So whatever is happening, you and I, right? It doesn't even matter. Like, I have 4 of my students that have hit $5 million revenue mark, right? I've got 24 students that did over $1 million in sales. 24 that did over $1 million in sales. Even if you add up that, right? Whatever that is, $50, $100 million, that ain't nothing. Compared to them, like you just said, 26,000 opportunities a year. You just showed your trucking transportation group is what, 9 billion in Texas? So whatever we think that our little microcosm of the world that we live in is like, that's a big deal. They've got some other guys that are supplying, like Crowley, who's doing all of the government trucking in all of South America, right? That they're faced with the global crisis that is costing tens of millions of dollars. So our little $20,000 change or $10,000 change is not a big deal.
They'll be like, if you don't get out of here, girl.
So no. I think it's more in our head than anything else.
Thank you, John, for donating Super Chat to the channel. You have to have people just sit at a computer and get contract and subcontract everything out and never leave their mom's basement?
No, not at all.
He's saying as a joke, but no.
I know what he means. No, not at all. That's like war dog stuff. All right, Biz says your business helped my company out. I love it. Thank you, man. That's a good big up.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You guys are so nice.
No, we put a lot of content out there because, again, I want to help people. Let me tell you something, Ericka. My goal really is I want to build people up so I can eventually partner and do business with you guys.
For
sure. I want to build you up to the $1 million level so then I could kind of work with you and then partner with you. So that's what I'm looking to do.
Oh, thank you, Arlene. Space Force is moving to Huntsville. We have a Space Command in Austin, Texas, you guys.
See?
My friend is moved here from Ohio to join the Space Command.
There you go.
So it's here too.
There you go.
You guys are so much. I'm trying to weed through some of this. Simplified. Thank you. You guys are spelling it out. Simplified acquisition procedure.
Yeah. Kelvin.
Micro.
Man, let me tell you, good job, Kelvin, because a lot of people say programs and you put procedures. Kelvin knows what he's talking about, Ericka.
Okay, now.
He knows what he's talking about.
He also put micro purchases, credit card purchases.
That's right. Yeah, I couldn't draw all that, Kelvin.
I know. Listen, we're working what we got.
I'm working fast with a Sharpie here. So.
Okay, what else? You guys, I think he answered this one earlier.
Oh yeah, big time for tech. So outside, so Christian, there's a lot of stuff for technology. So Ericka, let me just talk to that because there's a lot of stuff for technology out there. We actually have 3 or 4 videos on technology because it's such a need right now in the government
Mm-hmm.
space. So anyone out here, I know, Ericka, you do a show on IT jobs, something
Tech
like that.
Tuesdays.
There you go, Tech Tuesdays. We need tech people like you wouldn't believe. In fact, I'm going to tell you this. I was at LA Fitness 2 days ago, and the kid that's at the front desk, his name is Zach. He's in the robotics. I'm like, Zach, can you please, we're going to need you in the government contracting world. He's a gamer. We need gamers in the government contracting world. They're building these buildings that do simulations using gaming, the same gaming systems that these kids grew up on. So yes, I mean, big time, Christian. We're going to need huge, a lot. I mean, just
Awesome.
it's never enough techie people. And my most successful podcast guests are in tech space. The ones that sell their companies for $30-40 million,
Yep.
they're in the tech space.
Yeah, they're living the dream out here.
They live the dream.
You have some guy pull up in his little Ferrari. He opens the door and he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt and he's nerdy, and you're like, oh, dog, what is that?
Actually, Eric, it's funny you said that. When I first got into government contracting, like in 2009-10, I had a buddy of mine that we were working on some contracts at VA Hospital. He said his friends were in DC and they were providing tech people like staffing to the government agency. And all they did was crash $100,000 cars.
Oh my God.
That's all they did. Because they were like 20-some years old. They're like 28, 29. And they were like, that's all they did was like crash these $100,000 cars because they were kids. So.
Thank you, Kevin. Also, if you're running social media ads, the government has government contracts for that too.
Yeah, Tam was right. Actually, we have a guy, Colin, that's in our group that does, he does like web design stuff, web design, marketing, like graphics and stuff like that. He does that for government contracts. And they pay, look, anything they pay for out here in the street, they pay for on the government side tenfold.
Listen, again, that's what I'm let me see here. You guys got a lot of good comments. I'm not skipping everybody. I'm just trying to skim it. The research works really well, you guys. You get great experience applying, even if you don't get it at first. Those that wrote the bid get to know you. That's why. Plus, you get a debrief with them.
Well, see, Arlene's a student, Ericka, so she's right
Stop
here.
Cheating, Arlene.
Yeah, Arlene, come on, man. You can't.
Arlene. Ericka's putting her team in the note. I try to help you guys out. I'm telling you, listen, people are like, everybody's like, oh, Ericka, you're being doom and gloom. I'm not being doom and gloom. I'm just telling you the future is really for business owners, tech people who are really kind of giving solutions and doing something at this level. That's who won't be hurt by winter. Okay. Everybody else, winter is coming. Let me see. Trucker Nate, I think we answered that earlier. Not necessarily, I don't think.
No, actually, so Ericka, remember that slide we put up. So Trucker Nate, remember that slide we put up. 86% of all contracts are not are no socioeconomic category. So
it's Trucker Nene. It's a woman.
Trucker Nene. Okay, Trucker Nene. 86% of all the opportunities. We put that slide up early. Go back and watch it. 86% of the whole pie. In fact, I'll draw it on my yellow paper. They're not being set as 86%. So if you only if you think about that already debunks that answer. It rebukes what you're trying to say, because really the pie of 100%, 14% are set aside. The rest are just open for any and everyone. So it has nothing to do with your social economic designations. Real estate contractors, how do I get on the list or bid? So we say real estate contractors. Are you selling real estate? Are you renovating real estate?
No,
we
work
don't
it
know.
out for us.
Yeah, right. Find out, because Ericka said her friend is doing, like, for example, he's specific. He's a physical trainer.
Yeah.
And now he's building out a gym inside of a government facility.
They gave him enough money to build the structure, supply the equipment, and something else.
Yeah. So that's real estate too. So we got to be very specific, Ron, on what you're asking for. But the point is, when you say, do you get on a list or bid? We discussed that earlier. You don't actually, what you want to do is do your homework, do the research. Look at my man, Kelvin. Look, Kelvin's got to be.
Sorry, I don't mean to get you distracted. I've been doing this so long.
Kelvin must know, he must have been watching the content, So he knows what he's talking about. Don't get caught with certifications. Can you do business or execute what government's asking for? Exactly. Can you do the business, relationship, networking, people? Kelvin's spot on.
Spot on. Listen, highly recommend. Queen Lee said, highly recommend Eric's free course in his YouTube channel. You will learn a lot. Okay. And then Farley says she just joined your membership and sub. Great content.
Great.
Thank you for the $5 super chat. Ryan Rivers. I have two cousins that want to do this. One is retired military and other is female. Should I create two companies that have majority ownership, one military and one woman owned?
So again, Ryan, if you have two cousins and they want to do this, there's no reason to make two companies, right? And the reason why is because being military owned, veteran owned is good, right? Being woman owned is good, but none of those things, again, going back to what he said, is necessary. So I would create one company and I would pick the veteran owned company. And I'll tell you why. The women owned program is lacking. There's a lot of areas where the government, they don't actually, even though they say they're at the same level, the women owned designation, Ericka, really they only gave them so many codes that they would qualify under the women owned certification. So they didn't make the whole book open up to them. A lot of times people don't know how to use the women owned programs as well. So the veteran owned program is more widely known and understood and used. And so if I had to pick, Ryan, I would pick the veteran owned company to be the business. And then, because again, the women owned is really not going to give you much additional benefits, but I picked the veteran owned because the VA hospitals in particular, they only go to veterans. If there's two or more veterans that can do it, they will only go to veterans at VA hospitals all over the whole world. And so that gives you a dedicated client immediately for veterans that none of us, not myself, included, can work with. None of us. So that's something that really only veterans have the privileges of doing.
So, it's open spiring out there. Apply for everything. No, I'm messing. No, I'm messing. Okay. I said DC's where the government contracts is popping, but you just saw, I showed you, they spending money everywhere though. Are there government contracts for accounting and tax preparation? You already know.
Oh, you don't listen. Look, accounting and tax preparation. I don't know about the taxes, but definitely accounting, because remember, the government actually, believe it or not, all the PPP money, all that EDO money and stuff, somebody's got to balance those books. The government is not balancing them books. Like, I think we forget, right? Like, we forget about these things.
Somebody typing it.
Like now, T. Lee Bowers, that's a big nut to crack. If you want to jump out in them waters, you might need a whole bunch of accountants to go after that. But we did have someone, Ericka, that reached out to me for a consultation that does do certify like books at that level. And so I know for a fact, because we looked it up. So actually, yeah, we looked into that one specifically because I did have a coaching call with someone that did that.
Good. So do they have government contracts for childcare?
Absolutely. Think about this. The government, I think we forget about all of the military bases.
For everything.
Okay. If you go to a military base and you have people in the military that have children, don't they have daycares on the military base? So then someone has to manage that daycare facility. So they give contracts to believe it or not, I don't think we understand, Ericka. If we look at our government, right, 50% of it are like civilians and 50% are employees. So it's half of it's contractors. You just don't know it. Even some of the people that write your contracts are contractors. They work for other companies. Even the people writing your contracts, sometimes some of my podcast guests, they have contracting officers is the staff service that they provide to the government. So the contracting officer that writes contracts works for a contractor. So everything, the government contracts out the majority of their stuff. And again, it goes back to whoever's the administration. Sometimes they have more contractors. Sometimes they have less contractors. Sometimes they have more government workers, just depending on who's in office, right? What party's in office. But they contract out people to manage those types of facilities, like childcare facilities. Like you said, again, on your personal training, I think it's probably the best, closest thing to childcare, because you're dealing with people. So, and I'll go another step further, Ericka. I had someone that asked me about wigs.
Yep.
The government buys
wigs. Governments. You got cancer patients.
You got cancer patients. So yes, absolutely.
Arlene, one of your students, Arlene. Thank you.
We got to cut Arlene off. She cheated. Thank you, Arlene. We love you.
For real, you guys. On a serious tip, like I put his course with the code in there. Guys, go check it out. Like don't be afraid to really get out there, because I'm telling you, it's a lot out there. This girl said contracts for cleaning planes, cars, vans. You
I had a
name it.
guy on my show yesterday. I told him about pressure washing. I said, I wish you'd show up because unfortunately we don't show up, Ericka.
Mm-hmm,
And so they have to
mm-hmm.
give the contract. So they're going to give a pressure washing contract to a contractor like me. Then I'm just going to go hire you to do the work when
And,
you could have
and,
got the
and you
direct
could have got the
contract.
big check. See,
Yeah, you could have got
he only want the 80K, so you can have the 200K.
you could have, that's just the way it is.
Y'all, I mean, listen, he done gave us listen, we've been here an hour cutting up with y'all. He done gave y'all the sauce. The sauce. And I put the link inside the chat. It'll also be in our email list. You guys who are on the email list, we got 15,000 people on the Classy Climb email list. You will also be emailed this information. You guys, listen, research. Definitely go hop over to his channel, subscribe, go over there, blow him up in the lives. There's a lot of great information out there. There's a million ways to win. Choose one.
Choose one.
This is the last question, and Tam, and we can close it out here.
OTAs. So the OTAs are other transaction authorities, and that really. So there's a couple of ways that the government buys that are non-traditional. CSO, OTAs, or some of those ways. A lot of times it does apply to IT, but really they're looking for solutions. And when you look at OTAs that the government pushes out, which is something else that, again, you can search in sam.gov. If you have a solution to a problem, that's another way of getting a sole source contract. And that's what Tam's talking about. Tam, obviously, she's also one of our students. So she's an advanced person. But, a lot of times, Ericka, it's hard to tell them everything because it's such a big,
it's a lot
of stuff to give out. Right. And so I really, we could talk about a lot of the programs out here. But OTAs is another program where if you were to search in sam.gov and type in OTAs, right? If there's OTAs out there, really, it's the agency saying, Ericka, we have this need.
Mm-hmm.
I saw one where they made a plane and they want to put like a bathroom on the plane because the plane didn't have a bathroom. Or a solution for how the pilots could use the bathroom on the plane. And so they just want a solution for that. A lot of times there's solutions for simple things like, we need a key card access to this. Can you develop a key card access system? Well, there's people that do these every day, all day in a private world. You could go to the government and say, yeah, I could devise that solution, write them a 2-page like white paper, and then they'll go ahead and say, okay, yep, that looks like we want. They'll give you a contract sole source. You divide the solution, and you got a sole source contract. Never went publicly bid. So.
Awesome. I love it. Listen, you guys, lots of information there, depth. One thing I will close out my question is, do you have someone on staff that just like works and like does the same as you? They just fill out government contracts all day, or
what we do. The way that we're worked, it's funny actually. So we have a couple people. We have someone that actually does all of our administrative paperwork. But really, she doesn't. So on the differences with the federal government, we have to send like reports, proposals, and things like that. We can write up. So we put that up with a combination of. We have someone that does the pricing, someone does the technical report, someone that does the components of it. But once you've built sort of like that database of information, really, it's almost like it's cut and paste now. So
copy paste.
It's like cut and paste. So they're asking the same questions. Okay, tell me your past performance. Tell me your resumes of your staff. Tell me how your solution is going to fix this problem. Tell me how many times you did in the past. Blah blah blah. So really, our proposals, even though they're 200 pages, they're copy paste. And again, when it comes to the opportunities, you can set all that stuff up automatically to come into your inboxes, so you don't have to actually go and research, look at it every day. And then when it comes to the research, that's something that you do in the very beginning, because you're in a certain marketplace. Once you figured out who's in the market buying your services, you don't have to do that 10 times. That's once. You're one and done. So now these are all the players, and these are the people I need to get my hands on, and I need to be in their events, wherever they're at. I need to show up and present myself and be there at conferences, events, wherever those people in my list are going to be at. Your list will never change because it's the same contracting offices buying the same services year after year after year. So your research is actually only a one-time event.
Ooh.
So really, it's almost automated, to be honest with you. But before we go, let me tell you something else. I just want people to realize there's a couple things else. When you're looking at the local level, don't forget you got at the county level, you also have schools. So you've got colleges and universities as well. anyone that's getting federal dollars, right? Those are also people that are great contenders to work with. So don't forget colleges, universities, community colleges. Those are great places as well for opportunities.
I like it. I like it. Was there anything else you want to leave us with? And then tell us where we can find you on this man's internet.
Yes, no, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I really do. My goal, honestly, Ericka, is I want to help 200 small businesses get to 5 million a year in revenue. We've got 5 people so far that done it. Like I said, we got 24 people at $1 million level. So we're getting closer to that number. 200 people at 5 million is $1 billion impact. So I really want, and I tell people all the time, I love the C students. I love disenfranchised people because they're the ones that hustle. A lot of times the people that are really smart, educated, they overthink it and they don't get in the arena. And I like people that just jump out there and get in the arena.
Jump out there, man.
I love what your personal trainer did. He's a great story. There's other people out there that share the same sentiments. We've got a lot of free content. GovConGiants.com is the channel. You could Google me, GovCon Eric. I'm everywhere. And again, like I said, Ericka, we're closing out our programs for our 2.0 bundle this month. So definitely get that. And Ericka, for your guests, I'm going to give them, if they go through your link, okay, I'm going to give them 2 copies, copy of my books, the electronic versions, if they sign up. So that's what we do.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Get them books, man.
I'm taking care of people. They go through your link because I think we should have spread the love. So definitely want to hook it up for your people.
Man, listen, people are already waiting for your video right here. They're excited. Listen. But yeah, you guys, he's got good information over here. Eric Coffie, you can find him teaching everyday people how to win extraordinary contracts.
That's what we do.
Eric Coffie.
Love it.
How do we say your last name? Am I saying it right?
It's coffee like a drink. Just
okay,
like
good.
Just like you drink.
All right, you guys. He's gonna take us out on his big boat when I get to Florida. No.
Love it. Now, actually, hey, you come to Palm Beach, I could take you out in the boat.
I love it.
Anybody come out Delray Beach? I'm in Delray Beach, but you come down here, I'll take you out Saturday, Sunday.
Right now. It's awesome.
I'm not a fan of. I only go on intercoastal because I don't like being in the waters. I get seasick. But we can.
Oh Lord, you gotta get you the pill first before we go out.
Yeah, we can take you out. I'll send you out with my friends. I'm gonna sit on the deck and drink and listen to karaoke music, and you go out in the boat. How about that?
I'm gonna be out there with them a glass. Hey, everybody, thanks Eric for being here. He's not even on the boat, but thank him.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, you guys. Hey, this is your girl Ericka from the Classy Climb blog. We'll be sending this email out to our email list. And also, it's in the chat. It'll be pinned as a top comment and will be in the description. Also, his bio is in our description. So don't miss out on that information. Thank you so much, Eric Coffie, for being out here with us today. And have a wonderful evening.
Thanks.